I'm Laura and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my large eyeshadow palette collection, both large in quantity and large in palette size. This is everything that's about 6 shades and up. Apologies for the background noise. It's May Day weekend, so the kids are home, so it may be a little bit noisy. We may have some interruptions. I'm also planning to do a little bit of decluttering in this. Not a huge amount of decluttering, just a bit here and there. I already have in mind which ones I'm going to be passing on. So let's just jump right in. And I don't have this sorted out in brand. I just kind of hauled everything out. And we're just going to go for it. Okay? So here we have two from Revolution. These were the Wild Animal palettes. This one is Fierce and it is sort of like the brighter, vibrant oranges. There was also a Zebra palette that came in this collection that was rainbow colours. But I quite liked this one, the Fierce, and this one I believe is Courage, and it has the leopard print. And this is one of my most used palettes. I will have a most used palette video coming soon, but I loved this palette so much that I actually have a backup of it. I believe this is still available, so if I can, actually no, I'll save it for the most used palette video. But if you can get hold of this one, I totally recommend it. The quality, the formulation, this is the amazing Revolution formulation. It doesn't happen very often, but this is the amazing formulation. And on the opposite side of things, some Revolution things I know I want to get rid of. This is the Iconic Pro 2 palette. This is really old. This was like a gift with purchase deal. But I know this is old because I used to own it before and I decluttered it before. This palette is minimum 6 years old, possibly 8 years old. I've not touched it. It is fairly fair. It is, it's untouched. I'm going to pass this along to someone else who might get more use out of it. I usually, please don't ask in the comments for me to send you things if I'm getting rid of something, because I generally take it down to where I work, because there are a lot of younger girls who are just getting into makeup that entirely wholly appreciate my makeup donations into their burgeoning collections. These here are the new neutral palettes from Revolution Pro. This one is blushed. Now these I was disappointed in, because they weren't quite what I thought they were going to be. They looked really nice on the website and everything, but when I got them home, they just looked rather cheap, and I have absolutely no appeal, no urge to use them. This one is the Passion palette. Again, I'm just gonna pass on these guys, pass them on, because I thought they were going to be something different, something unique, and they're just neutral palettes in glitzy packaging. And granted, you're going to see a lot of neutral palettes in here, but if anyone else is a neutral palette lover like I am, you'll know that there are special neutral palettes. There's uniqueness to certain neutral palettes. So I will be getting rid of these 3 palettes. Just because I have them close together here, we have the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palettes and the Peach palette. So this is my chocolate bar palette. It has had a lot of use, unfortunately no pan on anything, but I still use it, I still enjoy it. I tried to pan it last year, I think it was, or the year before. Was not very successful, but I learned to enjoy and appreciate it. This is the Chocolate Bar Semi-Sweet. And this again is also really, really pretty. It has some more of like the cooler tones, which is very on trend right now. So I'm kind of glad that I held on to this guy. And I think I'll get a lot of use out of this two. Same with the Sweet Peach. I really like this. You can almost instantly tell the palettes I've used a fair bit as soon as I open them, can't you? But I love this palette, and I want to get more use out of it. I want to focus on it more. So yeah. I have a couple of these palettes here. These are the Revolution I Heart Makeup I Heart Revolution chocolate bar palettes, and I have quite a few of these. There's more to show later on, but this is I Heart Chocolate and Peaches, dupe of the Too Faced Peaches palette. Yes, Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. This is a dupe of it, is what I'm trying to say. And again, I really enjoy this. I've gotten on quite well with these chocolate bar palettes. I don't think they're too cheap a formulation. They are a good formulation. They get the job done. Sometimes the shadows can be a bit hit or miss. They can be a bit powdery. But overall, I've always found I've enjoyed these chocolate bar palettes. This one here is the Salted Caramel palette. Again, this is a dupe of the Semi-Sweet palette. The shade is actually a really nice sort of a topper. I don't even know if that'll show up very well. I'm not going to swatch a whole lot in this video, otherwise it's going to take so super long. It's not my most loved palette, but it's one I will keep hold of for a while longer. I have my Jaclyn Hill Vault here. I didn't buy them in a... I don't think I bought them as a set. Or did I? Yes, I did. I bought them as a set in the cardboard box and everything. These I've gotten into a lot more lately. I think I bought these in 2020, and I've eyed them up and I watched people talk a lot of crap about them, but they're actually really nice. This is Bling Boss. This is one I use a lot personally, and I've seen a lot of people love on. The formulation of these is actually really good. They are really nicely pigmented eyeshadows. They are really good color stories. I will say this gem color is a bit of a sore thumb in this palette. But the other shades I adore as a color story. The Dark Magic palette is one that I've come to love most recently, getting more into like these teal and green shades. These are just stunning. Ring the Alarm is like the perfect warm neutrals palette. I will say there isn't a lot of depth. This is definitely more of a companion palette to something else that has more lid shades. But I do enjoy it. And then we have the Armed and Gorgeous, which this is stunning. I could do this all summer long. I could. I have my Colour Drain Queen of Hearts palette, which I lusted over so much to get, and it kind of saddens me to see a lot of people decluttering this, because they got it start of the hype and they've used it and gotten all the love they want out of it. I still have so much love to get out of this. So much love to get out of this. I've used it maybe like 20 or less times. There's actually shades in here that I haven't used yet. I haven't used Royal Prerogative or Noble Woman, and I don't think I've used Queen Mother yet either. So that I don't want this to be out of my collection until I've used all of the shades. But I definitely think this is one that I might roll into a Pound Those Shadows type project in the future. This is a palette that I'm going to pass along. This is the Revolution Chilled. I'm not sure if this particular range has a name, but it's the ones that come in the tin packaging. It is really pretty. It really is. But it's just not my vibe. I like the neutrals, but if I want neutrals, I can go somewhere else. The tones of the green are just a bit too pine for me, if that makes sense. They're too much of a pine, alpine green for me, and I've never really been in that tone, and then it's got these glitters that just drive me bananas. They're not in like a solution or anything. They're not in a gel or a base. They're just kind of there. I will say these sort of putty formula lid shades are really nice. Revolution do that sort of formulation quite well. I'll show you a couple of palettes in just a second. But this one is gonna go. It's just not my vibe. It's not my vibe, and I don't need it in my life. But whilst we have it on our mind, I'm just gonna pull these guys out. These are the Revolution Foil Frenzy palettes. This is the original Foil Frenzy cream to powder shadow formulation. Makeup Revolution do this very, very well. So well that I bought a backup of it. Because I love this formulation. I love these eyeshadows. This one is the Frenzy Fusion, which I haven't used as much, but again, stunning. I'm not a huge backup buyer of eyeshadow palettes, but there are a couple here. I have the Soph Ultra Eyeshadows palette. What's this called? It's just the Soph palette. I actually had this as like my everyday palette for a little bit there, and I've gotten a good run out of it. I do like it. I don't feel ready to get rid of it. I will say this formulation is very cheap. This is very, very cheap. This is like Colour Workshop used to get it. This formulation is very cheap. It reminds me very much of the sort of Colour Workshop, those sort of eyeshadow palettes you would get at Christmas time in the late 90s. Especially like these sort of shades, very much that sort of vibe. But it is a nice palette. It is really good. It works. It's pigmented. It just feels very cheap, and the eyeshadows are very powdery. I have my W7 shadows. I might do a video just on these, so I'm just going to run quickly through them. We have the Wild Eyes Pressed Pigments on the prowl. Nice sort of like cool tones there. Dusk Till Dawn, Ultraviolet Neutrals. This is very Huda Beauty. The 24K Gold Rush, which as everybody knows is a Natasha Denona dupe. Very pretty. The Delicious, which is a dupe of the Modern Renaissance. My mirror broke, so I had to cut it out. Yeah. We have the Seduced, which is supposed to be the, I can't remember the Anastasia one. Sassy something. Does it even begin with an S? You know, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the palette that Jessica Lee is panning this year. I have the feeling it begins with a P. I don't know, but it's a dupe of a Natasha Denona palette. And then we have the Violet Lights, which is a dupe of the Norvina palette. I actually have a bit of Anastasia going on in this video. So here we have the Soft Glam. It is really, really pretty. I've only used this a couple of times. I would definitely want to get more use out of this guy. I have my two Tartelette palettes. The classic Tartelette, which is all matte, mostly neutral tones, and then we have the Tartelette palette, which leans a bit, it's like cool, warm, rosy tones, and it has a few shimmers in there as well. I adore this palette. It's like my favorite companion palette. I have the Juvia's Place 6s here. there's 7 of them altogether here. We have the chocolates, very pretty. The taupes, love those. The nudes, which has become a new favourite of mine. I quite like this one. The mauves, which I could talk years about. The berries, which is great for like a vampy. I love this hot pink. It's a nice splash. Sweet pinks, which I haven't used. It kind of scares me. And the violets, which I'm not entirely sure what to do with. I mean, obviously violet, but I didn't think they'd be quite like this. As a palette, I don't think it works together, but individual shades, they could definitely work with other things. So I haven't actually had a chance to play about the violets yet either. I have the Too Faced Natural at Night palette, which I believe I got myself for my 25th birthday. It is really beautiful. I really should just use it. I don't know what's stopping me. I really don't. I have this one from by Beauty Bay. It's their Disney Color, and it is the, does it have a name? Just the Dumbo palette. And it's just a bunch of sort of primary colours and a couple of mauves. I have my Ben Nye Press Colour palette. This is possibly my oldest palette in my entire collection. I bought this when I was originally becoming a makeup artist. It is a beautiful base. It can do everything that you need. Like for basic bridal, you can do brows with it. It is perfect. It is beautiful. It's a strong base of colour. I will eventually get those used up, even if I'm like 90 and still using them. And then we have my Huda palettes, which are relatively new to me. I got these during Black Friday. We have the Mercury Retrograde, which is a surprise. I'm surprisingly in love with. Use it a bunch of times. So pretty. We have the Desert Dusk, which is definitely a favourite. I love this. I love this Twilight shade. I love Retrograde. It's so nice. I quite like the Huda Beauty formula, and I like that there's a low level of product in the pan, so you have the feasibility of using them up. And then we have the Rose Gold Remastered, and I love these pinks. They're just such a fun splash. This is what I mean by like an interesting, unique neutral palette. This is a nice neutral palette. It's not just a generic neutral palette in pretty packaging. I have another one from Revolution Pro. This is the Ultimate Crystal palette in Adorned. This isn't from last Christmas, it's from the Christmas before. And again, this is the really nice Revolution formula. It has, these mattes are pigmented, they're gorgeous. These shimmers are really nice and gorgeous. The glitters, yeah, I could take them or leave them. But everything else in this palette is just divine. I love this palette. I have a couple more eyeshadow palettes I'm going to pass along. This is the Mermaid Hearts from I Heart Revolution. It is really nice. It's really pretty. As a palette, I personally can't do much with it. It has nice individual shades in it. I have colours like this in other palettes in more workable, user-friendly forms. So I'm going to pass this along. Same with the BH Cosmetics Glam Reflection in Smoke. This is a 15 colour eyeshadow palette. It was a freebie. It is actually really, really pretty. So I definitely want to just hand this over to another person just as is. It is gorgeous, and I think they'll get so much use out of it, and just they'll love every inch of it. So we'll just pass that on as is. I have my Sigma palette. I have the Ambience palette, which is just divine. This marigold shade is just, oh, it is so, so, so pretty. If they could sell that as a single, that would just make me so happy. I just want to dip into this palette just for that shadow. So nice. We have the Untamed palette, which I've been seeing a lot of people decluttering this as well. I have thoughts on this whole thing, which I'll talk about in another video. But yeah, like a lot of things I've purchased on the recommendation of other people, and then shortly after having purchased it myself, seeing them get rid of it, it just kind of, it gnaws at me a little bit. It gnaws at me. But this is the Untamed palette, and I love these like murky, grungy colours, especially this boho shade and this envy, and just, oh, it's pretty. It's pretty. I think I've done a get ready with me using it. I'm not entirely sure. And then we have the Warm Neutrals palette, which again I've seen a lot of people decluttering lately, which is kind of a shame. This is a palette that I've been wanting since it was in its big square incarnation. I'm glad that they've been keeping it around, and it's essentially still the same. I think some of the shades might have been tweaked, maybe renamed, but it's essentially the same, and it's just beautiful. Like, you have a nice sort of daytime look, and you can progressively make it more vampy as you go further down and along the palette. I have the Amrezy palette, which is still available on Beauty Bay. I know some people still want to get hold of this palette because, you know, Paulina is so influential. Love her to pieces. But this is my Gemini has just kind of like exploded. The pan is a little bit out of its place. But I really like it. I really like this palette. A big fan of Gorgina. For some reason, Gorgina just gets me. I bought it for Barb, but I love Gorgina. I have my Kat 1D palette. Not a big fan of a Kat 1D, even though she's disassociated from the brand. Just no interested. I don't even want to start any beef or drama over it. But I do like this palette, and I will keep hold of it and use it. Although I haven't used it in a very long time. So if by next time I do one of these palette collection videos I haven't used it, we may be looking at passing it along. Because again, I did purchase this for makeup artistry purposes. I have my beautiful, beautiful melt shadows. We have Rust. Just divine. The mattes in this are insane. Insane. I will say I find them a bit dusty. Like they kick up a lot of dust, but the pigmentation is nuts. We have the 420 palette again. Love this a lot. One shade came chipped, but apart from that, they're all just stunning. And then we have Smoke Sessions, which just has all these gorgeous greens, which is why I don't need the chilled palette from Revolution anymore, because I bought that to fill this void, and the tones in this are very different to the tones in here. As you can see, the tones are different. Like the piney tones are more in the shimmers, which I can handle, and then the greens are more mossy and earthy, the mattes, which makes me very happy. This is one I'm going to pass along as well, my Smashbox Double Exposure. I like it in theory. I love the Full Exposure palette. I'm just not going to use it. I'm not going to get to it. These formulas are old. Like, they're old school formulas. Like, the shadows themselves are still good. They still perform. But they're not what I want from shadows anymore. And I definitely think that someone else can get a lot of good use out of this. I have a couple of Colourpops here. We have the California Love, which is just glorious, glorious tan, golden shades. And then we have the Good as Gold palette, which I just adore. I love this. I kind of bought this thinking it was going to be like Natasha Denona gold palette dupe. It's not really, but in terms of duping those shiny shades from the gold palette, it's not necessarily duping, but it's definitely an extension of that vibe, especially like this AU team or the O team. I think it's supposed to be AU team, but that's just, look at it, look at it. That is just something else. That is pretty. It's like translucent base packed full of flaky shimmer. So nice. This is another one I think I might pass on, the Primark Flame. I'm just never going to use it. I look at it, it is pretty, but I never reach for it, so I'm just going to pass it on. Someone else can use it. I have the rest of my Juvia's Place here. I have the Nubian, which is just gorgeous neutrals. If I ever travel, this would definitely be a palette I would take with me. We have the Saharan 2, which I picked up off of eBay from a wonderful seller, and it is beautiful. I bought it lightly used. That Mark was a child. It was lightly used. Had been taken such good care of. So yeah, I wish Juvia's Place would bring it back. I have no idea why it's discontinued, but there we go. Another discontinued one that I ended up picking up off of eBay is the Tribe. Again, it was lightly used, well taken care of. It is everything I thought it was going to be. It is beautiful. Nubian 2. I really like this palette as well. I like this Jezebel shade and Kenya and Morocco. Oh my god, Morocco. Like, oh, Morocco is so nice. And Nairobi. They are beautiful. We have the Masquerade Mini. I actually have this in the larger size as well. Again, big fan of this. I love Zobo, Calabar, Ada, Zulu, this whole neutral section. Love this whole neutral section. And I love these two up here. The rest up here are just fun pops that are great for dipping into. Sometimes the mood sways you and you'll use them a lot more, but they do mix well with the neutrals in the palette too. I have the Saharan palette, which I love this. I love this. Again, I would probably, if I were to travel, I would take this one and the Nubian. I would take this one and the Nubian because it covers like all the bases. Zoya, Chad, Kia, Senegal, Fula, Lulu, just, oh, the Sokoto, whatever. It's nice. It's really nice. And it's just this really rich, vibrant, warm crease that it can create. It's just beautiful. And we have the Magic Mini. I quite like the way this is laid out. Wait, let's move this so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. I like how this is laid out. Like this is a nice look together. This is a nice look together. This is a nice look together. This would be a nice look together. But I love the Zuba shade, Nubian, Osun. Like these dark shades, I'm gonna totally butcher them. Iffy, Aja, and Yajid. They remind me of the dark shades in the Metropolis palette. Obviously not cream to powder, but they have that rich depth and they can be blended out and diffused in something so luscious. And then Faso, this, oh man, this is just something else. That sort of violet, pinky reflect, just love it so much. And then lastly we have the Zulu palette, this shade down here. this sort of peachy bronze. It reminds me of a shadow I used to use all the time when I first got into makeup in my early 20s. This sort of peach bronze, pink bronze, just, it is just stunning. I think this is sort of like a perfect upgrade from like the Sugar Pill shadows. It definitely covers all the bases. Even has like sort of like brown in there for grounding or for deepening things up if you want to. I have two more palettes that I'm going to get rid of. This is the You Are the Revolution palette. It's just a really nice sort of neutral palette. It's really pretty. But there's nothing in it that would make me want to keep it. It's all shimmers, so I'm just going to pass this along. And then we have the Parental Advisory palette, the explicit content palette from I Heart Makeup. Still has its little, and yeah, it's just a sort of dark neutral palette, perfect for smoky eyes, playing with color. So I'm going to pass these both along. Next up we have the BH Sweet Shop palettes, which have been discontinued and very hard to get. We have the Bubblegum, which is the blue. We have the Cherry on Top, which my hour packaging is broken. Cherry on Top, these are just beautiful. We have the Orange Sorbet. Unfortunately, one of mine cracked. The rest are gorgeous. We have the Sugar Cone, which I've used quite a bit, actually. It doesn't look too much like I have, but I have. We have the Pistachio, which is the green. Again, a broken one, unfortunately. And then we have the Cotton Candy, which is like the purpley pinks, violets. They're just stunning. I love that the shimmer matches the matte all the way along. It's so pretty. I have two here from Laura Mercier. This is the Artist palette. Again, so well loved. But this palette is like 8 years old, maybe older. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite neutral palettes. It's what made me delve more into Laura Mercier as a brand, and I love. This is the Extreme Neutrals palette from Laura Mercier. It definitely takes more of a cooler toned vibe, but it still has some really nice sort of deep warm browns there. I haven't used this one quite as much as the Artist palette, but yeah, it's beautiful. We have another Revolution palette here. This is the XX Revolution Gold Crush palette, which I bought during the period where I really, really wanted the Natasha Denona Gold palette, but wasn't willing to shell out for it. Again, this is like a vibe extension of the gold palette. It has sort of like a mustardy, sort of mustardy transition color there. These shimmers are actually like super stunning. There's a swatch of that transition. But the shimmers are actually super stunning. Like I would keep this around just for the shimmers, to be honest. They're so pretty. To the rest of my Revolution palettes here. These are all the Revolution Reloaded palettes. And I have one from Revolution Pro. This is the Mischief Mattes palette. It is very pretty. It's like a rainbow palette, but not quite just rainbow. It has more depth to it, more variety, so you can create a lot of really nice looks with this. And again, they aren't the highest quality eyeshadow, but again, the price point kind of limits the quality you're gonna get. But these are far superior to something like the e.l.f. bite-sized quads. I will say that. Probably an unpopular opinion. I hated the quality of the e.l.f. bite-sized quad. It was what were they, like $3.99 or something for 4 eyeshadows. These are like a $5. You get way more eyeshadows. The quality is far superior. They aren't the best, and sometimes they are a bit hit and miss, but I've never had a bad palette. I've never had a bad experience personally with these eyeshadows. So that is the Revolution Pro Mischief Mattes. We have the Neutrals 3, which I love this. We have the Basic Mattes, which is a perfect companion palette. This is the Red Alert, which I believe was supposed to be a dupe of a Jeffree Star palette. The Love, I forget. The one that people went gaga over. But yeah, very pretty. This is the Iconic Division, which was supposed to be a dupe of the Anastasia. Can you tell I've been out of the makeup game for a while? It's supposed to be a dupe of the Subculture palette. I really like this palette. I like the mustardy shades. I like the greens in here. Very murky, mossy. This shimmer is really nice as well. So a nice sheer lime topper there. Very, very nice. This is the Empire palette, which I actually got tempted into. Actually, these next two palettes. I got tempted into purchasing these after watching a panning Instagram account pan them. Oh, the irony, the irony. But this is all sparkly shades apart from this one matte and a satin here, and they are gorgeous, grungy, murky, soft jewel tones. This one here, which is called Jeweled, is where the jewel tones are at. Like, this is stunning, and it has like a nice sort of blending color and a nice matte green, a sumptuous matte green, and they are beautiful. I haven't had a lot of use out of this one, I will say. This one, the Provocative, I love this one. This is so, so pretty. This is like, but I kind of fancied the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. This more than made up for that craving is the word I'm looking for. It made up for that craving. This is the Velvet Rose palette. Again, a much, much loved palette here. This is the Marvelous Mattes, which I mistakenly purchased because I thought it was going to be pastels, but I am super happy with the shades that are in here. It has really nice, vibrant yellows. These purples are really nice. It is great for if you need these colors, and they were perfect in my makeup kit. This is the Deep Dive palette, and I really like this palette. I am not a lover of blues. I'm really, really not. But this, I would keep hold of this blue palette, and I will keep hold of this blue palette because I like the blues in it. It has sort of an Atlantic blue. It has a navy shimmery blue, seafoam mermaid, like an aqua lagoon. It is beautiful. And lastly, for the Reloaded palettes, we have the Neutrals 2, which again, I love this palette. I love the mattes, everything, the shimmers. It's where I first discovered the sort of cream to powder formulation over in this little corner here. Oh, it's just divine. Next up, we have the Revolution Tommy palette, the Tropical Carnival shadow palette. It is a beautiful, beautiful rainbow. I'm not actually sure who Tammy is. I should probably look that up. I purchased this to be part of my makeup kit, and it came in really handy in my makeup kit, and I did a couple of looks that never made it to my basic makeup channel. But now my makeup artistry kit is decommissioned because I just don't do makeup for other people anymore. It's just not feasible. So I am going to keep this in my collection and use it myself. And the last Revolution eyeshadows for this little segment. I have the Roxy Cozy Vibes palette. Again, I don't actually know who Roxy is. I think I maybe looked at her channel and saw that it was lifestyle and just sort of tuned out again, which is fine. Each their own, different folks, different strokes. This palette is beautiful. It has these gorgeous sort of rosy, nudie tones. I have used it quite a bit. I love it for work. But at the same time, with so many other palettes, should I really be holding on to this one? I'm going to keep it for now. I may get rid of it next time I do a palette video. This one, the 24K Gold, again, supposed to be duping the vibes of the Natasha Denona Gold palette. This, however, falls very short of my expectations of what I thought it was going to be. Again, this is kind of like a nude palette in pretty packaging. I kind of had the idea of doing a sort of Natasha Denona Gold dupes video with all of these palettes I purchased, trying to get that feel, and just never got around to it. I may sort of push that video out before I fully give this palette away, but I am going to remove it from my collection. I'm just not going to use it. And lastly in this little segment is an oldie but goodie. It is the Comfort Zone palette from Wet n Wild, which I picked up in Home Bargains. I've been trying to get hold of this for years, and then it just kind of stopped showing up on bargain makeup sites, and a lot of the bargain makeup sites just kind of disappeared entirely. And I just wasn't paying the shipping for this on eBay, and then it just showed up in Home Bargains, and I was like, yes, you are coming home with me. It is beautiful. And for anyone who's tuning into this and isn't like OG, you want to know the only reason this became famous. This shade down here is a dupe for MAC Club. Everything else was a bonus. People bought it just for this shade. Yeah. It is stunning though. It is stunning. Okay, let's get these beasts out of the way. This is the Stacey Marie Carnival palettes from Be Perfect. I have Carnival 3, the Love Tahiti palette. It's beautiful. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet. So that's all I can say is it is beautiful. I really want to use this rose pink shade. I really want to use pearl. I really want to use this tea green. I want to use it all. I'm going to just smear it all over my face. And then we have the Carnival 4, the Antidote, and these are just luscious. Like, oh, so gorgeous. So this spiced coral, this like, it's like neon orange, this sort of mustardy bright yellow, just is everything. It is everything. This oyster shade, oh, just love it. Just love it, love it, love it. I have 3 of the big palettes from Colourpop. This is the Stone Cold Fox, which I keep always calling Silver Fox. There are a few shades missing because I've made a little, I made myself a little palette out of a bunch of Colourpop shadows, and I quite like the ones I picked. I might do a video on this at some point. But yeah, this is the Stone Cold Fox. I freaking love it. My favourite shade was this guy Genius guy, I should say. And that is this shade here. It has this beautiful, it's like pink taupe with a shift, and it's just, oh, it's just beautiful. It's so many types of beautiful. It's insane. We have It's a Mood, which is what kind of drew me to these larger palettes in the first place. Love the coloured rose. It's just, it's a mood. It is a mood. It is beautiful. Bare Necessities, again, colours missing because they're in palette. My biggest gripe about this packaging is how filthy it gets. The slightest bit of dust kicks up and it's filthy. It's just mental. But apart from that, I love it. I will say Colourpop shadows I have found, although I do love the colour stories, the shadows themselves are really quite dusty. I have this one from Sample Beauty, the Equalizer Palette Volume 2. This is the original launch of it. And it is a stunner, people. It is a stunner. I highly recommend this palette. There will be a select few palettes. The ones I would highly recommend are going to be linked in the info box. This is going to be one of them because it is stunning, stunning. And I think it's like £20 normally, or thereabouts, maybe 25 at max. And some you can get it as cheap as £13 sometimes on Beauty Bay. And the mattes are super pigmented. You don't need a lot of it. They blend out beautifully. The shimmers are sort of that sort of putty, almost Colourpop vibe. These are beautiful greens. It has really nice warm tones. This shade Sweet is just... Oh. I heard about this palette originally through Angelica Neek Feast's whatchamacallit, her Friday roundup of new products. Going on the wish list thing. And I originally heard about through that, and I was eyeing it up, and then I saw Paulina get it, and she got it because Sweet was supposed to be like a dupe for Barb, and I quite liked the look of Barb at the time and didn't have it, so I bought this, and that's how this was kind of the spiral into eventually purchasing the Ambrisi palette. It has the same sort of vibe as Barb. It's not quite the same. It's a bit too purpley, I think. But generally speaking, this palette is a winner. It is amazing. And I love the sort of theme to it. Each matte shadow has a matching shimmer. So it has Stripping Down, Tan O'Clock, Bitter Sweet, Cherry Blossom on top, Warm Smoky Eye, Love Bite. It's just so cute. I freaking love it. Just little touches like that. I love it. I have a £5 from Natasha Denona. I know I said this is going to be like £6 and above, but these are stored in a different area. This is the Cranberry palette, and it is stunning and glorious. And I'd heard that these two shades were cream to powders. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. They're very velvety mattes, I will say that. I don't know if they're necessarily cream to powders. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to play with this palette a whole lot since purchasing it, so I won't comment too much on it. I have the rest of my chocolate bar palettes here. This is the Golden Bar. It is really nice, but the colours are very murky and it seems very washed out to me. I did declutter it before and I got it back as a gift with purchase. I don't know whether I should hold on to it. I think I'm just going to let it go. We're just going to let this go. We have the Chocolate Orange palette. I purchased this not long after we moved into this house about 4 years ago. I really like this palette. Even looking at it now, I love the tones in this palette. It is just beautiful. It was when warm neutrals were really starting to warm up and we were actually starting to use red and orange in our crease. It is beautiful. I can't let that go yet. This is the Sprinkles palette, and this has a bunch of very poppy shades. Like if you're looking for something that might tide you over, if you're looking for the Natasha Denona pastel palette, I forget what it's actually called, this might curb that craving. We have the Creme Brulee palette, which is very yellow honey tones. It's very, very pretty. And then we have the Honey palette, which has more of like a pinky purpley vibe, less of the yellow, more of like a flower sort of vibe. Again, I really, really like this palette. I love the sort of shimmers in here and the lightness, airiness of it. And the last chocolate bar palette I have is the Turkish Delight palette, which kind of has the Revolution's first foray into pressed glitters. It has 4 pressed glitters in here. They do have, no, they don't have any sort of base to them at all. They're just glitter shoved in a pan. You know, I'm going to hang on to this just a little bit longer, but I think I might be almost ready to part with this. I really like, these were quite unique at the time, having shades like this, very rosy, having something like bergamot and pomegranate. They were quite unique at the time. So I'll hold on to this just a little bit longer, but then I might part with it in my next palette video. I have 2 of my Morphe palettes here. These are the 18 pan ones. This one is Making Bank. It is one of my super favorite eyeshadow palettes here. There are quite a few shades that are close to Natasha Denona ones. Like this one is very similar to, I believe it was Lime Chrome in the gold palette. It's in the shade Bazillionaire. It just doesn't have that high sheen. I don't think any of my swatches are going to be showing up very well in this video. But it has these gorgeous khakis, murky greens, this vibrant teal. I love this vibrant olive khaki shade. This palette, just beautiful. And then we have the Sun Beats. Is that what it's called? No, Sunset Beats. It does have pressed glitter in it. This one does have a bit of a base to it. It has sort of like a paste. Well, it's in a sort of paste, so it's not just flying everywhere. But it's not really something that I would use a whole lot. But these shades are beautiful summer shades. This like really rich red and this rich dark brown. They're like, they kind of remind me of like cherry coke. They are just beautiful. I swear, like, Morphe doesn't get the, like, when Morphe does something well, it doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Like, you'll get people that talk bad about Morphe all the time, and then the one time they give it a try, they'll get another bad palette, but all these other things were good before that bad palette. You know? It's just how I feel. It's just how I feel. I feel like Morphe get a bad rap sometimes for just because. Here we have my Beauty Bay palettes. We have the berries, which these are just stunning. So stunning. I have the New Romantic palette, which again, stunning. This is when these rosy tones were coming more into the fore, becoming more mainstream. I have the Love Notes palette, which is more purple toned, more lilac, violet. So pretty. We have the Age of Opulence. Again, more jewel tones, a bit more teal, a bit more regal blue. Sorry. Hold it a little bit further down so you can actually see it. These 3 were all limited edition. This one was also limited edition, the Wilderness, but the greens palette that they've come out with is very similar to this. You could get all the greens in here. They're in like the green palette that they brought out. But this shade Ray is just, that shade is just life. Like, that is everything everyone is looking for in an eyeshadow at the moment. And then we have the Sunset Horizons, which I was actually a gift with purchase. And I would look at online and be like, no, I don't really like it, but it's actually really, really nice. It kind of reminds me a lot of the Sunset palette from Sleek, which I don't think they do anymore. This really recaptures that sort of vibe for me. And then we have the Midnight palette. I only got the littler, well, I got the mid-size one. Because as I said, I don't really like blues. But the more I see people play with the larger Midnight palette, the more I think, oh, maybe I should have gotten it. But yeah, I really like these matte purples are in here, and the different types of shimmering blue that they've got in here. I really don't think it needed to have the black though. The black was a bit of a cop out. You could have put another blue in here, but yeah. I have two LA Girl palettes. We have the Break Free. Yeah, Break Free. And it is gorgeous, sort of rosy tones. This is actually just absolutely stunning. These lid shades are just beautiful. These shimmers are beautiful. The mattes are really great. I also have the Pro Art Mastery palette, which is slightly lighter, more of a... It's less of a purpley vibe, more of a warm neutral vibe, if you can tell the difference there. I do really like those. I have my Natasha Denona mini palettes. This is the mini Glam, the mini Star, the mini Retro, and the mini Gold. These are beautiful and stunning, and I adore them. Going from Natasha Denona to Revolution, these are the colour books. These are 40 eyeshadow pans, 48 eyeshadows. So we have one that is all greys. With these, they're matte on one side, shimmery on the other, and they're separated by this sort of plastic divider here, like that. So this is all your whites, greys, silvers, blacks. Again, this was purchased with makeup artistry in mind. These are your pinks and purples. And these are numbered. So this is book 1, book 4, book 5. This is all your greens and blues. These are just gorgeous. This is just stunning. If I could recommend purchasing any out of this range, it would be one of these two. This is book 2, and it is all your neutrals. These shimmers are actually beautiful. These look quite cheap, but they are a nicer formulation than the Soph palettes, in my opinion. They're not as dusty, they're not as chunky. I find them to be quite smooth and blendable, and yeah. Oh me, try and get this down. This is the only a little bit of a problem, trying to get that divider to move, and these shimmers are just beautiful. They're so nice. And then this is book 3. This has all of your warm neutrals. It has your oranges, your yellows, your reds, a splash of sort of purple burgundy in there. Again, beautiful, stunning. If you're more of a neutral type of person, these two would come in really handy, because they would give you the full range of colour that you could possibly ever want, to be honest. Then I have my Viseart palettes. These are the old style ones. These are the older old style ones, because these ones don't pop out. This is the dark mattes. Very pretty. This is the warm mattes and the neutral mattes. I can get it open. Neutral mattes. This is like one of my oldest palettes. The Bijou Royale, which I wish they would re-release in the new petite palettes, because these colors are so stunning. That jewel green, this jewel pink, this is just beautiful. And then we have the vibrant mattes, I believe they're called. Editorial Brights, sorry. Editorial Brights. And again, these are beautiful and stunning. But all of these are available in this size, both pans that can be popped out, but they're also available in the petite size. So instead of having, I believe it's like instead of having 2 grams per shadow, it only has 1 gram per shadow. So it sort of increases your chance of getting to the end of them, I suppose. And they're significantly more affordable too. But I'm happy with the ones I have. They're still fit for purpose. They're still usable. I still love them. And next we have some of my Natasha Denona. I will have like a Natasha Denona specific video coming up soon. So keep an eye out for that. We have the bronze palette. We have the Zendo palette. We have the Sunrise palette. We have the Love palette. And we have the Retro palette. Now we have the last bunch of my palettes. First we have the Extravaganza from the XX Revolution. It looks like this. It is a jumbo-sized rainbow palette. Let's just adjust this a little bit. Jumbo-sized rainbow palette. It's actually really nice. It is a bit powdery, but the range of looks you can get with this palette is insane. Much like the range of looks you can get with these Morphe palettes. This is the Dare to Create palette. Again, I've seen a lot of people declutter this recently because, you know, it's big. It is big. They definitely could have made this significantly smaller if they closed up some of the spaces between the pans. There was no need to have all these transition shades in the middle there. I'm sure I heard someone say that those are supposed to be bronzers. But there you go. That is the Dare to Create palette. This is the She's a Gem. Yes, Such a Gem. This is the Such a Gem palette. And in the middle, those are all topper shades, I believe. So Morphe got a lot of flack for these. I know I sound like I'm totally defending Morphe for everything, but they got a lot of flack because these don't have a lot of pigment, but they're actually a form of topper shade. But it was before topper shades were really like a thing, so they got a lot of heat for that. But this is just beautiful. It's just beautiful. It has like a pressed glitter in it, which is take it or leave it, you know. I just tend to ignore pressed glitter shades. I have my 350 palettes. This is the 3502, which I broke my black trying to depot it. But this palette is just basically a palette of warm browns and orange. This is the 350, the old style Morphe packaging. Again, just a palette full of brown. But I actually sat and swatched this out one day, and they are all very different browns. Like, they're all very different browns. Like this is actually khaki. Did you know that this is actually khaki? Like, why is people been keeping this a secret? They just keep calling this a palette brown. There's a freaking khaki in here. Oh, me. This is the 350M, which again has that glorious khaki, but it has like matte versions of all the other shades. Again, I purchased this originally thinking about makeup artistry. For makeup artistry, this would be grand. It has every matte shade you could ever desire in the freaking world. It has all of your base shadows, crease shadows, yeah. And then we have a 350S. I had one that shattered. But yeah, I actually want to swatch this. What is the metallic version of the khaki? Because I've not actually looked at it. Oh, it's like an antique gold. It's very nice. Very nice. See how beautifully that's swatched. See, just... Oh, what's this one? Oh. See, now that's beautiful. It's like a warm, it's like a taupey brown. Oh, that's, see, Morphe don't get the credit where they deserve it. They just don't. This is the Desert Bouquet palette. This, oh man, this is gorgeous and stunning, and I need to use it more. Defo, defo. I'm going to say that a lot, so feel free to take a shot if you want. This is the Sweet Oasis. Again, really need to use this a lot. These like teals, these purpley plums. Oh, just stunning, just stunning, just stunning. That sort of taupey shimmer. Beautiful. This is the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2. Again, need to use this a lot more. The Jaclyn Hill Volume 1. This again, I think is a lot more underrated than it should be. I know it was very hyped up and very overrated, but at the same time, it got such a load of backlash, it became underrated. These shimmers are beautiful. All these browns are different. These deep shades, stunning, stunning. And I think also because it's got Jaclyn Hill's name attached to it, it just, I don't know. People like to hate, don't they? People just like to hate. We'll carry on with the Morphes being as we're on that train. This is the Stunning Vibes. It's neutrals with some purples, blues, and some really deep, deep shades. Most of them are greens. Two deep greens, a deeper, like navy. This is like an off black and an actual black, but this just, ooh, beautiful. Need to use it. Need to use it. Fall into Fabulous. This is just shimmer gorgeousness, and it's mattes all down this side, mattes all down this side, and then loads of metallic shades in the middle. I hadn't had a chance to use this one, unfortunately. This, love. This is Boss Mood. And again, I see people declutter this all the time because it's so big, but like, I couldn't give a hoot that this is big. I couldn't care how big this is. This could be twice the size, and just extend this color palette. It like the Love Tahiti palette. The Love Tahiti palette is this, but on crack. I love all of these. Like, look how beat up my palette is. Like, you've seen the rest of my palette collection. For me to have a palette look like this, like, I love it. I love it. This is the Natural Flirt, the 35XO, if I can get it open. I haven't had a chance to play with this one a whole lot either, but it is beautiful. I love these sort of rosy berry tones, very soft. This one is the Hotspot palette. It has a sort of bluey green lagoon colors over here, and then it has sort of fiery beach colors over here. This one is the Color Burst. This is their rainbow palette. Again, I have used this a fair amount. Can you spot the colours I like the most? Can you? Doot, doot, doot. It's very, very pretty. This is the Everyday Chic palette. Again, I've used this one quite a bit too. It's very cool toned. I like that it has a mix of like the greens, the pinks, the sort of taupes in here. I say it's cool. It's more neutral than cool. I think the background makes it look a lot cooler than it actually is. And it was a very interesting change for Morphe to do this. And then my last Morphe palette is the Bronze Goals palette, which, oh me, oh my, is just stunning. Can you even see it? If you're trying to channel bronze goddess vibes, this covers all your bases. It is beautiful. It has your greeny golds, your bright golds, your peach golds, your pink golds, your sort of coppery golds, terracotta golds. It has beautiful shimmery black, matte black, browns. It has everything your heart could desire to do the bronze goddess in here. I have my Norvina palettes here, which I actually originally purchased because I'd heard you could depot them. As it turns out, you cannot. But I love them anyway, so it's fine. This is the Norvina Volume 4. I could do without the press glitters, I will say. But overall, this is a beautiful palette. I love the sort of lilac here. I love all the browns in here. I love the purples. I love these punches of neon pink. They just add a different dimension to a look. Like, you don't have to have neon pink eyeshadow. You just use a dab and blend it in, and it just amps it up to this whole other level. It's just stunning. This is the Norvina Volume 1. Again, I've seen a lot of people declutter this, and it makes me kind of sad. Again, it has that, I swear that was just in the same palette. I might do a comparison video on these once I get my overhead arm. But yeah, it's beautiful. It has these gorgeous array of purpley mattes. I'm loving the purple. I love this shade. I love this shade. I love this shade. And I don't believe, no, there's no shimmer. Not shimmer. There's no pressed glitters in that one. And then we have this bad boy, the Norvina Volume 5. This was the newest one. The Volume 6 just came out, and this is my most used out of the 3. And I just adore it. It has all these really nice cooler toned browns. The beautiful sort of neutral toned purples, shimmers. Yes, it has a glitter that I could do without, but it is what it is. And it has a nice sort of base shade as well. So yeah, those are my Norvina palettes. We have the Utopia palette, which again, I see a lot of people getting rid of. Oh, man. I am not coming for anyone, I swear. But yeah, you know, my favourite thing about this palette is the way these metallic greens sort of go in depth through it. And I love these sort of periwinkle shades over here, and these sort of khaki shades over in the corner here, and that it sort of blends in sort of a neutral rosy middle. I love that, and I love these. I love this palette. I want to use it more. This is my Juvia's Masquerade, the full size. As you can see, it's been used a lot more than the mini one has. This is the by Beauty Bay Fiery 2.0. I think I've only used this once or twice because I just haven't had an opportunity yet to use it. But it is stunning, beautiful, gorgeousness. The Earthy palette, the green one. This is the 42 version, the Big Daddy. Again, beautiful. And I believe, yes, this has Ray in it. I think Ray might be in the 16-pan one as well. But these metallic greens are just insane. Like this shade Kava, Penny, fizz. Just, if you are looking for shades that are going to dupe shades in the gold palette, like these ones down here, some of these are stunning. Again, I will be having a video coming soon showing those compared to Natasha Denona. I have some Pat McGrath. This is the Midnight Sun. Yes, the Midnight Sun palette. It is beautiful. I will say this past year I've purchased more makeup than I've been able to use, which makes me a little bit sad, but we'll work on that this year. This is the Bronze Seduction. I'm in love with that red. I know some people are going gaga over these colours, but that red, ooh, it gets me. It gets me. And then this is the Decadence palette. This one doesn't have any special shades in it, unfortunately. But the colours it does have are beautiful. Very much in love with that burgundy. And that colour, yeah. And to round off this video, we have the rest of my Natasha Denona shadow. Oh, this is Metropolis. Metropolis is stunning, amazing, gorgeousness. I need to use it so much more. I need to use all of my eyeshadows so much more. This is the Circo Loco palette. Very beautiful brights. I haven't had a chance to use quite a few of the ones that I'm going to show you because I've only recently gotten them. This is the Sunset palette. Again, very, very pretty. Can you even see it? Yes. We have the Trio Chrome palette. This green just has me going nuts. And I love these sort of matte. They're like matte, murky pastels. And that just makes me happy. So happy. We have the gold palette herself. Oh, that packaging, guys, that packaging. Those shades, Yes, Lime Chrome. This is the shade I go nuts over. I freaking love Lime Chrome. And it's brass. Brass is like, you know, I love brass, but I love Lime Chrome so much. The swatch on my finger is a lot nicer than the swatch on my hand. We have the Star palette here. If it'll come out of its box. We have the Star palette. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. We have the Biba palette, which is all neutral, as it says on the front there. It has some gorgeous creamed powders in there that I can't wait to dip into. We have the Lila palette, which started my whole Natasha Denona love. Isn't she beautiful? And then we have the Big Daddies. We have the blue-brown? No, green-brown. They are just beautiful. Beautiful matte shades, beautiful, well, base shades, I should say. And beautiful metallics in the greens are just, oh, that one, what's this one called? Antique Olive. Antique Olive is so up my street. So, so nice. Beautiful. And then we have the blue purple, or purple blue. This is the purple blue. I love the shade here. It's called Piggy. Freaking love Piggy. It looks like nothing, but when it's on, it is just insane. And then the one beneath it, Calypso Blue. Love Calypso Blue. That's so nice. I actually forgot to pull out the rest of my Colourpop palette, so we're quickly going to run through these because I don't have much battery left. We have the Orange You Glad palette, which is gorgeous and orangey. The Making Moves palette, which I am stunned by these shimmers in the middle. The Whatever palette, which is an absolute fave of mine. The Ornate palette, again, absolute fave. The Taupe palette, again, absolutely stunned by these shimmers in the middle. Just loving them. The Blue Moon palette, which I totally damaged the center shade. I don't know what to do with. Again, I don't really like blues all that much, so I need to think of something to do with it.
Everyone likes blue.
I know everyone likes blue, but shh. The Honey palette, which I really adore. The It's My Pleasure palette, which I've taken a few shades out for my Build Your Own palette. I love this palette, especially Mr. Sandman. I actually have a full size of Sandman. Main Squeeze, which is like reddishy tones. The Nude Mood palette again. These shimmers that they're putting in these neutral palettes, they're just score. They are just a score. This is the Mandalorian The Child palette. I adore this colour story. I can't wait to actually try it out on my eyes. I've swatched it a bunch. I just want to try it out. We have the Just My Luck palette, which has these gorgeous greens. Even this really dark, intense olive green brown is so stunning. The Little Light Ray of Sunshine has all these matte yellowy orangey shades. The Big Poppy, which is more matte orangey burgundy terracotta shades. We have the Flutterby palette, which has these gorgeous mauves and purples, really dusky, pretty colours. The Boudoir Noir, which I adore. Again, this kind of gives me like Natasha Denona gold vibes, but at the same time not. It has this gorgeous khaki shade in it, which I just love. And the Good Night shade, so pretty. Blush Crush, gorgeous rosy tones. I love this How Rouge shade. There's quite a few palettes that have sort of a version of this. It's My Pleasure has one, and this next shade, Wine and Only has one. Up here in the Sip and Dip. Is it that what called? Sip. And again, some of these shades I've taken for my Build Your Own palette. The Ménage à Moi. Again, I love that these palettes are magnetized and I can just change out shades when I want. And this is the Or Could You Not, which is like the It's My Pleasure and Wine and Only had a baby. It is so pretty. And I also forgot to count up how many I'm getting rid of. So we're going to quickly do that. So we are getting rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 palettes, which for just doing a light declutter, I'm very impressed. It's just shedding some dead weight, and these are palettes I'm really just not going to miss. So I'm going to take these down to the girls at my work, and I'm sure they're going to love them and enjoy them. And some of my colleagues have children, daughters at home that are coming to teenage years, so they might take them home for them too. So yeah, back to the main feature.
Over.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my large eyeshadow collection. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's anything you'd like to see more of or swatches of, please feel free to let me know. I am getting an overhead camera apparatus set up really, really soon. It should actually be getting delivered today at some point. So I will be able to do those videos with more ease instead of angling awkwardly on my bed, where things can, you know, move. So if there is anything you'd like to see more swatches of, if you'd like to see any comparisons of, let me know. I'm happy to be a resource for you if you have any questions at all. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.